This story beginning in West Africa can follow a genetic pattern as outlined by the academically accepted genetic divergence from this point. This pattern shows a man from the corner of West Africa interbreeding with something non-human. The first wave of divergence from haplogroup A00, the foundational haplogroup, travels northwest on the Atlantic bank of the Niger-Congo region, and then travels south to the Atlantic side of the Khoisan region, before making its way over to the Nilotic region in southern Sudan. These three subclades of haplogroup A are the first genetic divergences of the genetically original man. From this expansion comes the different races of men that would inhabit different areas across the world. From this initial divergence, we can start to see the variations of appearance between the races. Another important aspect of this variation is biogeography, which is the study of species within specific genetically inhabitable territories distinguished by their natural boundaries. For this template, we will compare and contrast modern genetics with the accepted idea of post-Babel biblical locations, with one explicit exception. The lands of Shem do not exist on the African or Asian continent. These are the territories of Ham, Canaan, and Japheth. While the majority of Neanderthal DNA is centralized in Europe and Asia, the northern part of Africa above the Sahara does have a significant population with this genetic characteristic. While the majority of the other parts in sub-Saharan Africa have little to no trace of this Neanderthal admixture. However, what we do have is evidence of man sexually reproducing with something other than woman. Presumably, this man reproduced with some sort of troglodyte species, similar to Esau in chapter 36 Genesis, who is said to have taken Horite or Hivite wives. Imagine, if you will, any man taking a wife from a tribe of troglodyte chimpanzees, then copulating and producing a hybrid ape-human species. If the ape-human hybrid looks anything like the images of Australopithecus or Homo erectus, then the generations of Esau looked like something out of Planet of the Apes, a Hollywood movie based on real-life events. But I digress. Back to Ham and Canaan. Using this geogenetic template, we can begin to identify the tribes of Ham and Canaan and their geographical proximity to one another. Using these genetic haplogroups, we can surely ascertain certain parallels between genetic makeup and biblically inherited territories. The first anatomically modern human fossils date back only 195,000 years. So Perry's Y chromosome lineage split from the rest of humanity long before our species appeared. Our species. Because apparently Albert Perry is actually another species. What are the implications? One possibility is that Perry's Y chromosome may have been inherited from an archaic human population that has since gone extinct. Interesting. If that's the case, then sometime within the last 195,000 years, anatomically modern humans interbred with an ancient African human. Look at the deception in that phrase. And once you understand the deception in that phrase, you can see how the truth is hidden. Anatomically modern humans interbred with an ancient African human. So where did these anatomically modern humans come from? It should be worded an African interbred with an African. The Freudian slips, the deception often is not what's written, but what is not written. If that makes sense. Maybe it makes sense, I don't know. There is some supporting evidence for this scenario. In 2011, researchers examined human fossils from a Nigerian site called Iwu Iliru. The fossils showed a strange mix of ancient and modern features. Which also suggested interbreeding. Between modern and archaic humans. The Cameroon village, with an unusual genetic signature, is right on the border with Nigeria. And Iwo Iliru is not too far away, says Hammer, who is obviously too legit to quit. Better go get buck. That's what the words were on the Hammer tape. He couldn't buy the one with the explicit lyrics. He couldn't say kick butt. He said get buck. Get buck. All right. Chris Stringer at the Natural History Museum, London, was involved in the Iwu Iliru analysis and says the new Y chromosome result highlights the need for more genetic data from modern sub-Saharan Africans. The oldest known fossil humans, both in West Africa at Iwu Iliru and Central Africa at Ishango, sound kind of like Django, show unexpectedly archaic features. So it certainly looks like we have to take a more complex look for the evolution of modern humans in Africa. Quote, newscientist.com. Source, American Journal of Human Genetics. If we fish through the phrases of fallacy, there's a chance we can hook a few red herrings in our cast. In reality, this anecdote is nothing more than the saga of a single American Aboriginal man who traveled to Africa and interbred with a single species or several species that were non-human. And the migrational theory is a concocted narrative of different types of human hominoid hybrid species carrying out some form of selection, whether that be natural or artificial. Again, this theory begins with man, not Homo erectus, Homo habilis, Homo heidelbergensis, Ardipithecus, or Australopithecus, but with man. Rather than the preposterous theories of evolution in which assert these species become human over time as a result of various eras of intellectual development, we will deal in reality and nature, which demonstrates the fundamental elements of phenotypic and genotypic development, which are geography and sexual selection. Beginning with the academically accepted map of human genealogy, the narrative states that a man who was apparently discovered in the corner of West Africa is considered the Y chromosome father of mankind. This is the exact location in Africa attributed to the home of American blacks, mislabeled African Americans. Check any slave narrative and then check the supposed place on official Ancestry.com, 23andMe, Family Tree DNA, or any charlatan DNA scam outfit labels the ancestral home of American blacks. The results will come back unanimously West African. Even dogs owned by black people are coming back West African. After swabbing the family pet's mouth and sending the swab to AfricanAncestry.com, several families were surprised to learn that their dog was indeed West African.
This is for some of you, or maybe none of you, but it's one. Everybody. They be saying I'm out of pocket and maybe I am. Forgive me, I'm blazing the path, that's just the way that I am. We got our eyes on the prize, but man, our prize is different. People think I owe them something, I feel like they owe me nothing. I owe me something, only is my only function. It's lonely impressing me. So yeah, you can say that I started to act differently. I'm trying to drop baggage off on the way to the palace, but I would still turn savage. People who think I'm average, people who think I owe them, or people who think they built me. Nigga, this shit is classic, it's Timothy Leary acid, and mostly I've been chilling, laying low, keeping quiet. Got so much in the chamber while niggas is making bangers, I'm mashing. I'm trying to fuck your head up, you trying to get a leg up, you get fucked that way. It's bad luck that way. Took the last bus that way, now we stuck that way. I've been on mine the whole time, you've been on yours. Even when I detour, I still keep it on course. Like the crowd on another jam.